Hello, everybody. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a fun conversation. So, today we're talking about social media, mental health, and human design, a new path to vibrancy for women. Mari Smith is widely known as the premier Facebook marketing expert and a top social media thought leader, dynamic live webinar host, savvy social media strategist, and popular brand ambassador. She's the author of the New Relationship Marketing. And for those of you that are curious, we can dig into human design today. It's so cool. She integrates aspects of human design into her social media marketing courses to help entrepreneurs and small business owners grow their businesses in a much more authentic, impactful, and successful way. So, Mari, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to this topic. And it's kind of a fusion, isn't it? It's like a blend of our respective talent. I'm really excited to dive in. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. And so the accent, people are going, okay, wait a minute, San Diego, Ashland, that's not what I'm hearing. Can you just, where's the accent from? Tell a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So I was born in Canada to 100% Scottish parents. So I'm basically Scottish by genetics. I say if you cut me open, my blood is tartan. So my parents met and married in Canada, had their family, and then they split up. Dad went back to Scotland with us 5 girls in late 70s. And so I lived in Edinburgh for 20 years and then emigrated to San Diego in 99. So yeah, I'm a triple citizen. I'm Canadian, British, and became an American citizen in 2022. I'm not sure what took me so long, but yeah, I got 3 passports and feel very blessed.
Gosh, that's spectacular. I would love one day for my children to be able to say that.
Oh, I love it. That's a good goal. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dig in. Social media plays a big role in our daily lives. We all know the dopamine hit, but it can also really contribute to stress, what I call comparison-itis, itis meaning inflammation, and the overwhelm of that Facebook perfect life that's portrayed. And so I'm curious from your perspective, because you really are an expert in this field, when we think about women's health and social media, is it different for girls that are teenagers versus women in their 20s versus women that are building businesses versus women that are, yeah, but just let's talk about mental health and social media.
Yeah, I love this. That's a really good differentiator because I would say it's absolutely very, very different for young impressionable teens when they're massively suffering from comparisonitis. And these social platforms are designed intentionally, literally, they work with psychologists to make them as addicting as possible, right? As addictive as possible. And okay, so fair enough at Instagram, for instance, they did a little test where they were hiding the like counts because that was also a mental health play. Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, said, okay, let's do this. Maybe a couple of years ago now. Supposedly, they said, well, they didn't notice any difference. So now you have a choice that you can choose to like cut off public facing, like how many likes you're getting on a post. So maybe that helps with comparison. I don't know. But honestly, I think, Maraya, I was thinking about 4 different things that the like social media and mental health for women and the men who love us. Number one, absolute comparison. I like that you call it comparisonitis. It's really an absolute plague. And so what happens is we don't feel good enough. We're striving for this perfection that's never attainable. And what we're getting is, I've said this for years, that we need to stop comparing the inside of ourselves to the outside of others. Because what we see in our stream is the polished, perfect, with filters, now with AI. Like, honestly, I don't know how you feel about AI in general, but it does my head in when I see so many of my friends are replacing their profile pictures with AI enhanced, not just enhanced, but completely AI generated photos, like headshots of themselves. And I can spot them. I think maybe to some people, not so much, and fair enough, you do you, but I just think that actually is creating even more comparison. Because now it's like you got flawless skin and you got the perfect lips or whatever, right? It's like then you look in the mirror and go, wait a minute, that doesn't look like me. So that would be one, is comparison for sure is a massive impact to our mental health. The other thing, number 2, would be misinformation. This really concerns me, and especially in your field, Maraya, like health and wellness in general, not just mental health, all health, that, and again, no disrespect, whatever, people are being themselves, what I call overnight experts. So people just doling out all kinds of information that people are hanging on their word and doling out, okay, no, this is the thing. You need to take these supplements now, or you need to eat this way, or you need to exercise this way. But every body is unique and different. And I know you do like very tailored support. The third thing is negativity. And I really feel like we've had a massive influx of negativity over the last several years. And people, again, it's back to that like psychological manipulation, is people don't realize that they're kind of being mass manipulated, and the content they see in their feeds is like algorithmically controlled. We're just like hamsters on the hamster wheel, and just everything we see from ads to organic content. And the fourth one that's really impacting our mental health on social media, unquestionably, is FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. Because I know for me, I try to have boundaries around, okay, I'm only going to look at Instagram for like 5 minutes. Yeah, right. 20, 30, 45 minutes later, like, oh, I have to keep up. There's this silly misnomer out there, that, especially now with AI being so prevalent, that we're going to be left behind if we don't keep up. And I'm like, I don't know. I was doing a talk the other week there and saying to this group, like, what exactly does keep up mean? Could you define, like, what are you keeping up with? When do you know when you're kept up? And to me, I call it like boiling the ocean, or even like me, I'll catch myself. Like a little voice will say in my mind, Mari, you can't drink the internet. Why? I just have to find one more thing. I just have to look one more thing. I just have to investigate. You can't know it all. Stop.
So I'm hearing the comparisonitis, where we're comparing our insides to someone else's outsides. So powerful.
Mhm.
The insurgence of every time we turn around, everybody's an expert, and we're bombarded, being sold to by anybody and everybody that can just perceive themselves to be experts and try to, in some ways, really hurt individuals. And now it's impacting their mental health, because maybe they've purchased, maybe they've trusted, maybe they're just left feeling bombarded and confused and overwhelmed. Then there's the negativity.
Mhm.
And I'm hearing the algorithm. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I want to pick your brain. Why is it that all of a sudden things don't get views? And the algorithm, and how does it work? And how does the negativity perpetuate more negativity? And then FOMO, and this idea of I have to keep up. Even COMO, that certainty of missing out, and
Mm.
this feeling of it's so fast. My children are 12, 10, and 7, and we don't give them access to social media yet, or phones. And everything's even seems faster in their world, and they're learning faster. And I just go, oh my gosh, particularly for those of us that want to feel achieving or get that dopamine achievement.
Mhm.
It seems like social media feeds that to the nth degree of drinking the ocean. And I've got
Yeah.
with the success, I've got to keep up with the knowledge. I've got to keep up with keeping track of everybody's lives. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I hadn't heard that COMO before, but my replacement acronym that I've loved for years is JOMO. Is the joy of missing out. Joy of missing out on that massive barrage of information that you don't need to put in your brain, but then you have the joy of not missing out on your family and what matters and your passions and what's feeding your soul and nature and, you
Oh,
know
right. So we have FOMO, which is fear, COMO, which is certainty, and JOMO, the joy of being able to say, no, I set some boundaries,
Mm,
and I actually chose my well-being. I chose me rather than the mental health hamster wheel, so to speak.
that's right.
And you've been at the forefront of social media marketing for nearly 2 decades. I wonder if there are even moments of, is there like guilt within you to be supporting this kind of self-perpetuating monster or ocean that everybody's trying to drink? And also, how have you personally navigated the challenges of staying visible online and maintaining your own mental and emotional and spiritual well-being while it's your expertise? Like, where do you find the balancing point, and how do you care for yourself?
Ooh, great question. Honestly, it's it's a daily struggle. It is. I'm not gonna lie. It can be very difficult. At the same time, I kinda came to peace with myself. I wanna say just a few years ago, it's definitely since my human design studies. I'm really using my body as more of a guide of when I'm like really jittery and off and putting this extra adrenaline rush pressure on myself when I'm like, what for, Mari? Because you've like, oh, I didn't read all the newsletter. I didn't keep up to date. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I care to keep up to date with my area of specialty, but I don't care that YouTube has a new thing over here and TikTok and LinkedIn and like try to keep up with every little nuance of this button moved over here and then this new feature. And there's other people that there's definitely other social media professionals that you can sign up for their newsletters and they'll tell you with every little button and every little nuance. I tend to go with the bigger updates. And then I like to say, like, I have the back of the small business owners. It's like the David and Goliath where Meta's done some, like, for instance, they're just announced recently they're going to start deleting all your Facebook lives. You have 30 days. It only lives on your profile, your page, or your group for 30 days. And then after that, if you don't download it and you didn't make another copy, then it's just going to vanish. They'll give you a notification. When they give you a notification, then you have like 90 days to download all your past lives. And so people are up in arms about that. And I like to inform my audience and that kind of thing. And I'll take a stance and I'll do some deep research. And people have come to know, okay, they can really trust me because I've done my homework. I always say I'll never be the earliest adopter. I won't be the first out the gate, but I will be the most researched and well-investigated early adopter. And so there's that. And I pride myself on being that. But and also, I think just too, with the constraints and the boundaries, I really do my utmost to limit the time that I spend just mindlessly surfing the Facebook and Instagram feed, which are the two main ones. I don't do TikTok, and I've long stopped using X or Twitter. I used to hire somebody to do my tweets for me, always approved by me. But even like before Musk took it over, I saw like some diminishing returns. So I think it's perfectly fine to like pick your platforms, your channels. Don't try to be everywhere and don't try to be everything to everyone. Like really hone in on what is your specialty, what is your niche, what is your favorite platforms. Don't go all in on just one. Like I don't think it's good to have only Facebook and Instagram. You know, I do a little bit of YouTube and LinkedIn. But one little setting I want to make sure that your listeners know about, it's called Facebook Quiet Time. And you can go into your settings. There's a little setting called Quiet Time. I literally have mine set from, gosh, I think it's from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. the next day. So from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., I can open up my app on my phone and it just opens. But from those other hours, from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m., you can still get in. You can say, you know, hey, let me in for 15 minutes or like end the quiet time altogether. But it's just this reminder, just a little bit of friction to remind me, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm in quiet time right now. I'm not supposed to be surfing. You can do those things on your phone too, right? You could check your screen times and those are good limits to have.
And you set it to driving. Are you sure you want to, my husband will be driving and he has his phone set. So then if I'm using his phone, I have to say, yeah, I'm not driving, but just that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good setting.
And like the self-awareness of the addictive nature. Like, hey, maybe you're addicted to this thing. As a reminder, you said that you wanted to set quiet time. Are you sure you want to bypass it?
Yeah.
And yeah, the new Facebook changes with the old videos. I mean, I've got a dear friend who her whole library was housed in a Facebook group and she's going, I'm going to lose it all. If you're building a business and using social media, to not have it all in one platform. I hear that loud and clear. And also to be reminded that it's not ours. Our email lists. Do you think YouTube is safer when we think about our assets?
Yeah, for storage. And by the way, real quick with the Facebook Live deletion, they give you 90 days for the old ones from date of notice. You look out on your email and on the platform, it'll give you a notification. And the one option is to mass download and or mass transfer. So you can tap a little button and hook up to Dropbox or Google Drive. Of course, both of those have a fee. See, we've had it easy for almost 20 years. Well, Facebook Live came out in 2015. So yeah, for a decade, we've had all this free storage. And so it's like, oh, crap, that's right. Google Drive has a fee, Apple, Dropbox. So yeah, or just download it and put it to an external hard drive. But you can mass download. So yeah, your friend or the person in your community, you won't lose this content. Another quick way to do it is to just go into either your personal profile, your page, and there's a setting called download my information. That will download everything. And you got HTML or JSON, JSON. That's like if you want to port it somewhere else, but just download it all in HTML. That should give you everything you've ever posted on Facebook, period.
Thank you.
Backup.
And as I'm sitting here, I'm going, this isn't just for business owners. This is also for families that have done Facebook Lives with their kids growing up. And it's been a source of documenting a timeline.
Yeah.
And people don't want to lose that. You mentioned human design, and it was also in your bio. For those that don't know what human design is, or they just, maybe they've heard it in passing, you mentioned how you're using your own knowledge of your own human design, and you and I've had a lot of conversations. There's so much to it. I'm a projector, and obviously there's so much more to underneath that. But can you just speak to, for the listeners that are like, what is human design and how can it be a tool, and what are ways that you've utilized it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go there.
So the human design system has been around since the late 1980s. It's really gaining in popularity right now because there is a significant date. February 15, 2027 is when there's a new planetary shift. We're in the final throes, the final 2 years of a 411-year cycle of Pluto in particular. But this to articulate it, why there's so much chaos and so much craziness and so much breaking down of old structures. It's part of the bigger picture of the program, of the stars. It was, I think, in the 90s that the scientists proved that neutrinos, which is like the gas or the matter that is emitted from stars, and it actually has mass, like it's infinitesimal, but it comes to us and through us. So we're imprinted at birth with our conscious imprint of our genetic imprint. And then there's also an imprint taken 88 days prior, roughly 3 months, and that informs your unconscious. Some folks say it's when the soul enters the body. The entire concept of human design is that each of us is born with this beautiful, individual, differentiated genetic imprint that we're meant to function correctly as ourselves. And we live in this incredibly homogenizing, conditioning field. Social media certainly does that, like fit into a box, don't stand out too much. And so what happens is that we've got this body wisdom. And when you can recognize, oh, wait a minute, my body, like when I had my first reading, I was like, my body has wisdom, my body can make decisions. And because we're so conditioned, like the mind, the mental, talk ourselves in and out of decisions. And with my business, so I'm a generator. Those who might know a little bit about human design, I'm a generator, which means my sacral center or sacral, depending where you come from, is defined. That means I have this like always on, ever ready, energizer bunny, worker bee. And that's 2/3 of the planet. 66% are either generators or manifesting generators, meaning the energy comes up to the throat. They can just act a bit faster. And so that's a lot of buzz, 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 hustle and go, go, go kind of energy. And then the projectors like yourselves, about 22%, and you're living in this buzz, 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 and very conditioned to go, go, go. The authority, like my inner authority is my sacral. I'm not defined in the solar plexus, the emotional intelligence center. But so when people ask me yes, no questions, then I trust my first response. What I've gotten really good at over the now in my 5th year of doing these professional studies and training to be an analyst is, for example, an interview or a speaking engagement invitation comes across my desk in my email. In the past, I'd watch myself with my mind, oh, you could make good money, or so-and-so's going to be there, or, the trip isn't that far. It's only 3 flights, or, whatever the mind does, talking you in and out of stuff. But the initial response when I tune into my sacral is a contract. I could feel my cells contracting. And that's a sign it's either a no or a not now, or ask me again another time. Whereas a yes is like this pulling forward for me as a sacral generator. It's like this uplifting, expanding, magnetic kind of pulling. And I can feel myself going, yes, that's a yes. And so this is a beautiful thing for having those body wisdom ways of making decisions. You're quite unique in that you're what's called a self-projected projector. So you only have your throat center and your G, which is right here behind the sternum. And that's your identity, direction, and love. And for you, talking out loud, talking your decisions out, you can even just talk to yourself, talking out loud in the presence of others, doing what makes you happy. That is the signature, the key way.
Funny thing is I'm also a Gemini.
Yeah. So you're
So
talking to yourself?
I love to talk.
Uh,
Sometimes you see those reels where they'll show the different astrological signs and like
yeah.
little, there's a, and the Gemini is that child that's walking down the aisle in the airplane, talking to everybody that they went. My mom, I remember seeing it and going, oh my gosh, that's totally me. And my mom was not even in social media, found it and sent it to me. She's like, this is so you, your whole life when you're a kid. But then it's so cool that we can go, all right, maybe someone has learned about astrology a little bit, or maybe they've heard about, I don't know, what other kind of like your disc profile, or I don't know, there's all
Yeah. Yeah. Myers-Briggs, gene key.
you're right, gene keys. Human design feels like broad strokes. It's kind of encompassing all of it and to really help us all come true to find our authenticity to ourselves and that self understanding.
Oh, big time, big time. Now that's the key thing. It's really interesting because that 66% of the world are the generative beings are here initially. Their first and foremost is to know who they are for themselves, to know thyself. So who am I for myself? Know myself so well that then I can be of better service and support and help to others. Whereas with the projector, it's the other way around. You're here to know who is the other first. How can I have this penetrating aura and how can I connect with this other and to help them be successful? So for marketing for a projector, for example, is really leading with case studies, testimonials, endorsements, and before and afters, like putting the spotlight on them. And like here's the difference that they've had in their life because of as a result of the work that I've done with them one-on-one, or in small groups. Whereas with a generator doing marketing, because it's that sacral gut response, is going, for example, putting something out there, maybe just posting something on social and just asking a question, doing a survey, doing a poll, and then getting some answers from your audience and then seeing what your sacral responds to. So like I might go, okay, I'm thinking of leading a course on such and such, how to understand the Facebook algorithms and get more reach and see how people like what challenges or what's your biggest challenge you're having right now. And then I'll check in with my sacral to see, oh yeah, that really lights me up. I got a boot camp coming up I'm calling Beyond Followers Boot Camp. And so things like that. The other aspect too is the profile. I know you and I are the same. We're actually the 1-3. So that's the investigator and experimenter, or it's called a martyr. I know I'm still struggling with calling it martyr, but basically the third line, trial and error, experimenting, learning from your mistakes, bumping into things, not being afraid to try things, being resilient, in fact. And then the investigator, because you've done so much homework and you with all your brilliance in the health and wellness specifically for women, is you become an authority. You become an authority in your field with that first line of studies. So the 1-3, you and I are the same in that regard, but obviously very different when it comes to types with a projector and a generator. Projectors and generators work really well together. You're here to guide the energy of all the projectors of the world.
Well, obviously, I've shared my chart because Maraya and I have had time together. Where do you suggest? So, just so that everybody knows, how you find your human design is simply with your birth date, location, and time. Do you have any suggestions? What site do you trust for someone to
Yeah.
go, oh, wait, maybe as you're listening to this podcast episode, push pause, go get your human design report, and then listen in. Where does someone go?
Yeah, because if you Google it, what you're going to find oftentimes is those who are really good marketers will come up at the top. And there's been a lot of mutations. There's a lot of different versions, and people have changed up the language and everything. So I recommend going back to the source of the original founder as mybodygraph.com. That's it, mybodygraph.com. And that would be the best place to start. Yeah, I would go there. No, I do have a community. It's totally free. It's built on Mighty Networks. It's marysmithsuperstars.com, marysmithsuperstars.com. And I got a lot of like free videos and trainings, and it's kind of quiet right now, to be perfectly honest. And at the same time, I have grand plans to do a lot more with that in the coming years. So yeah.
And podcast team, as you're editing this, maybe grab both of those links and make sure they're in the show notes for the actual podcast and on the YouTube channel. Okay. And you started giving examples of knowing your human design.
Yeah.
So it sounds like when you're utilizing social media for your marketing,
Mm.
You're not thinking through the lens of what human designs are receiving. It's really, if I know my human design, how do I utilize social media in the way that most resonates with my human design?
There's that, and I tell you something that I have changed up about my approach is knowing that 66% of the world are these generative types who respond to yes, no questions. I will
Mhm.
put for a lot of my CTAs, my calls to actions, instead of saying, click here, sign up, join today, I'll say, would you like to join us? Because the projectors also are here to be invited, to be recognized and invited. So I might say something, you're invited. Would you like to join us?
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, I keep hearing one word marketing is like the buzz this year. One word marketing to comment one word is,
Oh,
but that's different. This is actually, you're inviting someone to say yes or no.
yeah.
Do you think it would be the same? I mean, I'm hearing so many people talk about even the two marketing teams I've talked to recently. One word marketing, make your posts to comment one word. Do you think that that's catering to the same thing?
I think it's gimmicky. I'll be
Uh,
totally transparent with you. That's what it feels like to me, my gut. I haven't heard that. It's not come across my path. But I think any of these little kind of like hacks, and by the way, I'm a relationship person. I know you are too. You and I both, that's another thing we have in common in our chart. Our purpose is fulfilled through bonding. Like relationships are everything. And usually there's some depth to it. It's not just like a little surfacey thing. So for me personally, I don't know. The comment one word doesn't speak to me so much. I like the asking questions. Another thing I would do too is giving people permission to take their time. And I love using the word correct because it's a word we use all the time in human design. It's like if it's correct for you. So you tune into your own internal guidance system. The most common inner authority is the solar plexus emotionally defined people. It's about 55% of the world. And that means they have these waves of emotion going through their bodies at any given moment. And they'll be on an up wave, woohoo, or they'll be kind of like in a little bit of a down wave. And so the thing is that truth reveals itself over time with the emotional decision makers. So the worst thing we can do for those folks is pressure them to make a decision. Come on, sign up now, sign up, but snooze, you lose, by midnight tonight, come on, pressure. It's like, no, you can take your time. If it's correct for you, would you like to sign up? And I just noticed for me, it just feels so much more freeing to do that for my own self. It feels in alignment with me. And I'm not so attached anymore. It's like whoever signs up is going to be the exact perfect people. They'll be drawn to me. They'll be attracted to me because we call it the same fractal. Another thing to keep in mind is the heart center. There's 9 energy centers in human design. There's 7 typical, we talk about chakras, 7 chakras, but there's in human design, they call them energy centers, and there's 9, one of which is the heart or the ego, willpower, and 65% of the world, all 4 types, the manifestor, generators, projectors, and reflectors, who are only about 1.5%, they don't have any definition at all. They're totally white in their chart. But the open, or if you have your heart center open, white, undefined, that the not self, like the shadow self, will have these thoughts about, I'm not good enough. I need to prove myself. I need to be more competitive. I don't know if I can really charge that much. I need to kind of like jockey for position here. And we can see that in social media. You can feel people's egos when they're just like, like, look at me, and so I can have more compassion too. I like, oh, okay. Yeah. And the interesting thing for those of us with our open heart centers, like you and I have, we have nothing to prove, nothing. And I love that I get so much permission around this is you can start saying, I'll do my best. I can't promise, but I'll do my best. You know, it's just it's freeing.
Well, and it's also so fascinating to me how, because you know human design so well, how exposed I feel. Like we sat down in coffee for the first time and I pulled up my chart, and it's amazing for you to be able to look at that and to go, wow, she really sees me and knows me, to think just this chart, how much you can pull it apart and help individuals really optimize how they're being and how they're marketing and how they're utilizing social media in a way that is truly aligned with something so beyond anything that we can really comprehend in our little intellectual brains, it kind of
Well,
seems.
totally, totally. And you have so much wisdom with only two out of 9 centers defined. So you have a consistent, reliable way of speaking, of communicating, and a consistent, reliable identity, a way of loving and way of being in the world. All the other, the head, the ajna, the roots, solar plexus, sacral and splenic center, where the seat of intuition, instinct, health, and well-being, all of that, yeah, that's where the not self, the shadow self can show up there. But as we get on in our years, also there's incredible wisdom that you have to share with the world through your openness. In fact, sometimes they say it that in all the open parts in your chart, all the white charts, you've mastered that in previous lifetimes. So now this lifetime, you're kind of like getting your PhD in those.
Okay, so I want to kind of come back to those that are listening because I'm curious. I'm assuming many of them are really curious to go.
Mhm.
I look at my human design chart, and what if Mari helped me? Particularly for individuals that are running their own business, they're using social media for their marketing and for their building. I just to really highlight what an expert Mari is, and to go back to the beginning where we were really talking about burnout and
Mm.
mental health in the online business space. And then also, I'm in the realm of health and helping women feel their most spectacular, most vibrant, most turned on versions of them. I'm curious if you have any other tidbits around how to really best utilize media and business strategies and taking into consideration that we're not burning out and we're taking care of our health and understand our human design. And how do you utilize the convergence of both of those to really support those that are listening, but also those that you work with?
Yeah, yeah. I think, as you mentioned earlier, human design is an incredibly deep and complex body of work. And you can get lost down the rabbit hole. You can get very confused. I'm astounded by how many people I've met over the last several years that I'll bring up the topic of human design and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I think I'm a generator." And usually remember their type. They don't always remember their authority, and they really rarely remember their profile, their numbers. So the first and foremost is just keep it as basic as possible. So your type. So first of all, understand your type. If you're a generator, manifesting generator, yeah, you got access to a lot of energy. If you don't, if you're a projector, manifestor, reflector, then you're what's called a non-energy being. You're not here to work 15 hours a day. Those are the ones who are potentially more susceptible to burnout. The non-energy beings is called. Of course, you have energy. It's just not a consistent, reliable source of like always on. The other thing to look at would be, well, for sure, and then learning about your authority, like really seeing if you can catch yourself. It's literally a daily process. They call human design an experiment. It's not a belief system, a doctrine. It's not a cult. It's it's like learn as much as you can briefly, initially, the basics, and start to experiment it. Try it on for yourself with find out what your inner authority is and just go, oh, yeah, I could feel that energetic expansion for people like me with the sacral versus that, ooh, contraction. And otherwise, we'd just spend all this time in our heads and start to see if you can be more and more in alignment with your body's wisdom and catch it when that not self mind starts kicking in and telling you, oh my, I have to do it this way. I have to do it that way. I have to do these one word comments because so and so guru marketer said that. And then tune into yourself and go, it's not really in alignment with me. I'm going to find my own way, my own direction. So yeah, then I mean, you can totally go way down into the rabbit hole with the details. There's a whole health and wellness aspect. It's literally called PHS, the primary health system aspect of human design. I'm now in my third year of a degree program. It's called the differentiation degree program that's really studies like the biology, the amino acids, the codons, and a simple thing you're talking about burnout. And earlier we were talking about like drinking the ocean or drinking the internet, boiling the ocean, whatever. Those of us that have an open root center, the root is adrenaline, stress, and pressure, like physical pressure. And if it is white, if your root center is white, open, you probably in the not self have a propensity to rush and hurry and just have that adrenaline pumped up so much that you overdo things, you're doing things really fast. I used to do this so much before I had my foundation reading many years ago. And the analyst, the first thing he said when he looked at my chart, he's like, Mari, You've got to learn to slow down. And I'm like, holy shit, how does he know that about me? I'd be like driving fast, typing fast, eating fast, and buzz, buzz, buzz. And I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, I'm doing a number on myself here. Way too much adrenaline, unnecessary adrenaline floating through my body. So I just allow myself more spaciousness. I take, I'll allow spaciousness in my calendar. If I'm going on a trip, if I'm doing a 20-minute drive, I make sure I allow 25 minutes, in the past time I allowed 15 minutes and just speed, things like that. But coming back to social media and marketing, honestly, I really feel the most important direction or approach that all of us as human beings right now can have is to be so in alignment with yourself, to be so correct and true with your own body's wisdom and recognizing when like the machine, the the internet, the social platforms are trying to push and pull you in a different way that's not in alignment with who you are. We need people to be authentic now more than ever. I swear to God, I'm saying to people, authenticity is your competitive edge. That's it. Nobody
That's
can
so
be you.
wild. I'm currently taking one of Kathleen Cameron's programs. It's law of attraction, abundance. But
Mm.
what she said was authenticity is the highest vibration.
Ah,
So guilt is the lowest. Authenticity is the highest. And I love that you bring that up just to go, where can we be brutally and unapologetically authentic to ourselves? And the more we get to know ourselves, and then how is that expressed out in the world, sure feels like it's going to make the world a better place. And as you're talking, I'm like going, okay, what if we created something where it was, okay, yes or no, are you a projector and a small business owner? And then if you and I created something that's specifically for female projectors, small business owners to prevent burnout through the lens of their health and their human design, wouldn't that be cool?
that would be amazing. I know. Talk about structured and specific and supportive. Yeah, I say the 22 and a bit percent of projectors in the world are so conditioned and so homogenized into thinking and buying into this hustle and grind. Come on, 5 a.m. club, get up and at 'em. Sleep is for losers. It's like, no, don't do that to yourself.
Totally, totally. Okay, for those that are listening and are curious, how do they work with you? You have programs, you have courses, you've got the chat, and what was the platform there the chat is?
Mari Smith Superstars. It's a whole community. It's with the Mighty Networks.
Yeah, so just how do people find you? What's the best way to reach out to you or your team?
Sure.
And for what purpose? Is it really just human design and optimizing marketing, or are there other ways that you're still working with individuals as the queen of Facebook to just simply help people really optimize how they're showing up in Facebook? And does it now include Instagram? Does it include TikTok? Does it include LinkedIn? How do you support people?
I do courses. That's my mainstay for 18 plus years is I do online courses. MariSmith.com is probably the easiest way to learn about that. And I usually lead them live. My audience tends to really like live. They can catch the on-demand versions. And for the most part right now, Maraya, I'm tending to kind of semi-segment. So it's just like social media marketing courses and consulting. I do consulting. And then I'm starting to weave in the human design into some of my programs and some of my consulting. I'm just opening up a little bit for readings. I don't really have the bandwidth to, fill my calendar up with a lot of one-on-one readings. So I have grand plans in my Mari Smith Superstars to do some more actual human design courses so people can learn the basics and go from there. And then, there's a whole business application as well. So they can reach out to me on socials, Facebook, Mari Smith, and Instagram, Mari_Smith, or like say, just Google me. Or
So just reach out, it sounds like. And it's so fascinating that you're the queen of Facebook, but your community isn't a Facebook group. It's over in Mighty Networks.
I did that on purpose. I do have a community on Facebook. It's called Mari Smith Social Scoop. We have about 26,000 professional, marketers, social media professionals. But about 3 years ago, when I was really thought, oh, I'm really going to go deep down the rabbit hole as a first line being like you, right? So we go way deep down. I'm like, I really want to have a backup. I want to have a separate community that's off of Facebook. And I recommend people consider that. Sometimes it might be just a Slack channel or Discord or Telegram or what's the other one that people really like? Signal, just
Circle,
First
I there was one there's Circle.
Circle, yeah, Circle's a good one too, or Kajabi. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
Heartbeat.
you started out with this AI generated photos and profiles. I think it's gonna be really fascinating to look at what happens over the next 5 to 10 years with the insurgence of 5G and AI, and what will social media platforms even look like?
Well, if Zuckerberg has his way, it seems that there's gonna be a bunch of AI generated profiles talking to other AI generated profiles. They already exist right now. I'm astounded by that.
Just to finish up, any last parting thoughts, anything that feels unsaid?
I'm gonna come back to your subject of expertise, which is the health of the body, the soul, the mind, the spirit, because we only have one vehicle. In human design, they call it a vehicle. The vehicle absolutely is the only thing you have. Is you're not if you're not in this vehicle, you don't have a life. So you got to take care of it, and that includes the mental health. And just be mindful of how much we are being mass controlled and mass manipulated. And you take back control. You're in the driver's seat of your life, and whatever that looks like, your business, your social, your personal life. So be true to yourself and get ready for a wild ride over the next couple of years. Fasten that seatbelt and just watch it like it's a movie, because that's what it is. It's a movie.
Yeah, right. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for just who you've been in the world and how you've supported people for decades,
Mhm.
and the ways in which you're really being true to yourself and allowing for the pivots.
Mhm.
To all the listeners, thank you for sharing this time. Time is a super, super valuable resource. I don't take it lightly. I trust that you are here and listening for divine reason, and for you to quiet in and listen into feeling grateful for this exchange and knowing that you received exactly what you needed to receive, and you can detoxify and let go of the pieces that didn't serve you. Really, truly, both Mari and I, super approachable. Reach out if any of this resonated with you. Allow yourself to raise your hand and say, yes, I would love some support. I do want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to receive more. I want to think more. And we're here and available. So, with that, cheers to all of us feeling vibrant, especially for the women, and especially for the women that are bold enough to run small businesses and large businesses. Mari, thank you to you. And with that,
My
ciao,
pleasure.
ciao for now.